Said Yeshar Koach Lewis, and good morning, everyone. And the next part of Mishnah 8 in the second chapter of Pirkei Avot from Hillel has a beautiful teaching, and it says as follows: Kana Shem Tov. If somebody acquires a good name, Kana La'atzmo, he's acquired something for himself. And that's an enigmatic statement. But what it means is as follows: all of the material possessions that a person has, the jewelry, the landed property, the cars, the yachts, whatever it is, they characterize only what a person has. They don't say anything about what a person is. And even such attributes such as mercy, such as beauty or intelligence, they also don't describe what a person has actually achieved, acquired for himself. These are gifts from God. The one thing, and therefore from the things which a person owns or the attributes which a person has, which are God-given, you know nothing about the essence of the person themselves. And the one thing that a person really is able to achieve for themselves through their own deeds and through their own efforts is something called their good name. And it's something which characterizes the person's absolute essence, the very core of their identity. So when you acquire a good name, you have acquired something that actually belongs to you. It's not something which is superficial, which will be taken away at some point or another, which you can have, which you can lose. And all of this, by the way, was beautifully summed up by that great sage of all times, Shakespeare, and of course, you know the source of this, I don't even have to tell you, but it's in Othello, in Act 3, Scene 3, when he says as follows: good name in man and woman, dear my lord, is the immediate jewel of their souls. Who steals my purse steals trash. 'Tis something, nothing. 'Twas mine, 'twas his, and has been slave to thousands. But he that filches from me my good name robs me of that which does not enrich him and makes me poor indeed. And with that, Shakespeare put his finger on the whole distress that comes from identity theft. When somebody steals your identity, it is more painful and more difficult than stealing anything else that belongs to a person, because they've stolen something which absolutely belongs to you in your essence. And they've taken it away from you. And that's very, very difficult. And so the whole phenomenon these days of identity theft through computers, etc., is something which is well documented, causes people more pain than any other kind of theft. But Shakespeare knew it, and not only did Shakespeare know it, but actually Hillel knew it even before Shakespeare. Rabbi Chanani ben Akashia me'Ratz HaKadosh Baruch Hu Zak Yisrael Lefichach Hirbem Termitzvah Shneimar Nechfetz Man Tzedko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir. Okay, back to the onliners. So just very quickly, to come to Hayom Yom. Today is the second day of the week, believe it or not. Hayom Yom Sheni B'Shabbat Shebo Hayu Halvim Omrim B'Mikdash Shir Mizmor Livnei Korach Gadol Adonai Mehulal Me'od Be'ir Lehenu Har Kodsho. So each day we are saying these beautiful slichot prayers, which is why they are running so late in the shul. And there's one part of the slichot prayer which everybody will be familiar with, because it's one of the highlights that we recite on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Actually on all other fast days, but most people are not in shul on the other fast days. They only hear it on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And that is when we open the ark and we have these beautiful words: Shema koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, chus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel b'rachamim, etc. So I know you don't have it in front of you, but I want to just take some of these words and unlock them. And by now, from our Mondays and Thursdays, you will already know the meaning of some of these words. Shema koleinu, everybody knows kol means a voice, kol Yisrael. Shema is to hear. Hear our voice, Lord our God. And the word chus means have pity. Chus, v'rachem, and rachem of course is rachamim. So have pity and have mercy, aleinu, on us, like aleinu l'shabeach. V'kabel, it's a word we've had before, and receive. What we receive, berachamim, in mercy, uveratzon, and the word ratzon means and with willingness. Receive in mercy and willingly, et tefilatenu, our prayers. So Shema Kolenu, hear our voice, Lord our God, have pity and mercy upon us, and receive in mercy and willingly our prayers. That's the first stanza. And then a beautiful line that is really profoundly interactive. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha. Hashivenu is going to come from the word shav, teshuvah. So this word means you cause us to return. Return us to you, O Lord. So it's something which starts from God, something that he does to us that tickles us deep down inside and makes us feel that we want to come close to him. It's initiated by him, not by us. Hashivenu, draw us back, bring us back, draw us to you. Do something to us that's going to make us feel so deeply spiritual that we want to be connected with you, because we can't do it by ourselves. It's not coming from all around us in our environment. I'm dead inside. I've lost my core spirituality. So I'm turning to you, Hashivenu. You return us. Do something in the world that makes us want to return. Sometimes this thing that God does is a little bit of a pachin tochas, a little bit of a slap, a little bit of something which suddenly makes us wake up and realize, whoops, anti-Semitism, whatever it is, people hate us. I want to come back. There's all kinds of things which happen, which stimulate us to want to find God, or something in a much deeper sense, that one is simply just by the atmosphere, by a movement, by something which happens in one's life or in a community when you're standing, praying with everyone else, which suddenly makes you feel from deep down inside that I want to connect. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha, and what will happen as a result of that? V'nashuva, and therefore we will return. You return us, and therefore we will return. So correspondingly, it's something which is now going to come from us. You initiate, and we will respond. But it's a mirror of teshuvah. It's the teshuvah which comes from God, and then the teshuvah which comes from us. And in a sense, it's about God and the Jewish people joining back together again, because the word shav means to return. So let's return to each other. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha, cause us to return Elecha to you, v'nashuva, and we will return. And then beautifully, Chadesh Yamenu, the word Chadesh, like Rosh Chodesh. Chadesh, renew, Yamenu, our days, Kekedem. Kekedem means as used to be, as in the old times. In other words, there was a time when I felt deeply, profoundly spiritual, perhaps in my younger years, in my searching years, the times when I really wanted to be connected. But you know what, God, I've actually become a bit stale. I've kind of like lost it over a period of time. So I'm actually asking for that special feeling that I had in the beginning of my search, when I just started my journey and I was really hot to trot. I really wanted to find my way. I was a searcher. And now I'm no longer a searcher because I've become complacent in my life and settled, and I've plateaued out, and it's no longer excites me in quite the same way. I'm a little bit dead inside. So what a beautiful, beautiful little phrase this is. Do something, help me to return to you, God. And then I'm telling you, I will return. But what I want more than anything else is I want to be able to feel that sense of innovation, of newness, of freshness that I had once upon a time in my relationship with you. And that is Chadesh Yamenu, renew our days as of old. Of course, that is in a personal sense. In a national sense, we're asking for something else. We're asking for the whole body of Israel, the house of Israel to be able to reestablish a relationship with God as we once had in temple times, or in the times of King Solomon, or the times when the high times of the peaks of Jewish spirituality. So it has both a personal meaning and a national meaning, because remember, this is being read all in the plural. So this is talking about all of us. And the next verse, if you still have some patience. Al tashlichenu. Now we have this tashlich, to throw away your sins. Don't cast us away. Al tashlichenu milfanecha, from before you. Do not cast us away from before you. Don't drive us away. Don't push us away. Don't even let us drift away. But tashlichenu means to throw, to cast. Al tashlichenu milfanecha. How does God throw us away? In the next part of the verse, V'ruach kodshacha, your Holy Spirit, al tikach memenu, don't take it away from me. Don't take away from me my capacity to actually feel your presence. Don't take away from me ruach kodshacha, the spirit of holiness that is deep down inside of me. When that goes, I feel as I've been cast away into the abyss. I've lost my anchor in life. I'm a lost human being. I'm now going to drift. I don't know where I'm going to be, because I've lost the capacity to feel ruach kodshacha. You know, there's moments in our lives when just even momentarily, perhaps it's ne'ilah, or perhaps some other moment you're standing under the chuppah with your children when they're getting married, or you meet your grandchild and hold them for the first time after your child has given birth, and you take this little child into your arms, and you suddenly feel ruach kodshacha. You feel the Spirit of God. You suddenly feel that just a sense of eternity inside of us, a generational sense, something which is bigger, something which is transcendent, something which is beyond the smallness of our moment. That's ruach kodshacha. It's a feeling from inside. And the last verse over here that we sing together is, for us, in many respects, the most profound, because we are an aging population. And you know what happens with age. You begin to lose your marbles. Things begin to deteriorate. And it's really hard. Old age can be a very, very, very difficult place. And so we say, Al tashlichenu, same words again, do not cast us away. Le'et, at the time, zigna. Zaken is an old person. Don't cast us away in old age. Kichlot kochenu, when our koach is weakened or fails, when we need you most, al ta'azvenu, God, please, we ask of you, don't abandon me. I need you then more than I've needed you at any other time of my life. I am so vulnerable. I'm so scared. I'm so afraid of what's happened to me or what the future holds. I'm so afraid that all of the vigor that I had, my capacity for independence, is now being stripped away from me. And I've now become dependent upon others. And I'm dependent upon doctors and on medication and my own sense of vulnerability. It's a very hard time in our lives. And we pray to God that at that moment, at that time, that he remains there with us. And of course, in the broader national sense, it's talking about Israel as we age over the years and begin to drift away from those early years, Sinai, the conquering of the land of Israel, the establishment of the Davidic dynasty. Now we've moved on centuries and we still want to be your people. Don't now cast us away. Now that our koach to connect with you is failing, this is a time that we need you most. And so please be there for us. And I must tell you that these slichot prayers are words and words and words and words. It drives me mad. to have to mumble all these words every morning. I would so much prefer, I could live just with this prayer. I'd like to be able to take this one and think about this every day and just spend some time, because for me, it says everything. It's about my inner connection with God and all my fears and concerns about losing that connectedness, losing my own sense of spirituality, and losing God in my older as I age and begin to see cognitive powers beginning to change, and other things changes in one's physical being, and one's capacity and all the things that you used to be able to do and can't do in quite the same anymore. So this is a very, very beautiful prayer, and I just wanted to share it with you.
Thank you.
By the way, on a lighter note, I officiated at a wedding yesterday, got caught up in the most bizarre way in the Extinction Rebellion protest, which was taking place because this was at a Natural History Museum. And I had to come down Queensgate and Exhibition Road and try and get to park. They'd given me a parking place in the Natural History Museum, but the whole area was completely blocked off by police, etc. And there was a line of policemen, and I had to stop, and he came up and I said, "Look, I'm officiating at a wedding, and I can I go through?" And he said, "No, you see that line of policemen over there? You can't go any further than that." He said, "They're blocking the road." So I said, "Well, what should I do?" He said, "Well, you'll have to find a parking place around over here." So in the middle of Exhibition Road, right there, I said, "Can I park here? Will you look after my car for me?" He said, "Yes, okay." And you know what? When I came back, and about almost 2 hours later, he came up to me and said, "Your car's in good shape, sir. I've looked after it for you." And a policeman looking after my car. Anyway, I had to go. It took me about an hour to get. Nobody had my name, and they wouldn't let me in, and security. Anyway, I just want to mention to you that there's a thing called a rabbinic elephant trap. The situations that you nearly get yourself into, and that you stop yourself just in time because you've spotted the trap. Sometimes, by the way, you fall into it, but on occasion you actually spot it in advance. And I nearly fell into a terrible elephant trap last night, and I stopped myself just in time. So I'll tell you what an elephant trap is. A number of years ago, standing in front of a couple getting married, and on the tip of my tongue, I nearly said, "And this moment is pregnant with expectation." So yesterday, and when you speak, especially if you're not speaking with notes, things pop up in your head, the words just come out, they just come out. And of course, this is the Natural History Museum, and it's filled with dinosaurs and stuff. And this couple they've been waiting too long to get married. They're both in their late 30s now, and I nearly said to them, how appropriate it is that you have chosen the Natural History Museum as a place to get married, a place filled with dinosaurs. But once again, I stopped myself just